Drew Thomas Hendricks here. I'm the host of the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. On this show, I talk with leaders in the wine and craft beverage industry. Before we get on with the show, quick sponsor message. Today's episode, it's sponsored by Barrels Ahead. Barrels Ahead, we help the wine and craft industry scale their business through authentic content. Go to barrelsahead.com today to learn more. Before I introduce our guests, I want to introduce Bianca Harmon. Bianca Harmon is our podcast channel director. How's it going, Bianca?
It's going great, Drew. Really looking forward to this episode we have today.
Yes, I'm super excited. Today we're talking with Randy Detrick. Randy is the founder of the Blue Ridge Vineyard and Winery in Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, Randy.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me here. And we're missing someone. My wife. You say I'm the founder? I don't know. I think my wife is more the founder than I am.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Her name is Tiffany. You see the bottle of wine behind me?
Yeah.
It's called Tiffany. We named it after her. I tell everyone, even if you don't like it, just say you do.
Tell me about it. Tell me about Tiffany's wine.
So it's Chamberson. Chamberson is a red grape that grows well in this area. And a lot of winemakers turn it into a dry red wine because it's a red grape. Well, I don't think the grape wants to be a dry red wine because it has a lot of acidity on it. Uh-huh. And it's got a lot of great floral notes. So what I do is I bring the grapes in, we grow them in the lower vineyard down below here. I squeeze the juice out of the grapes so that, it gets rid of most of the color. It becomes a rosé. And then we ferment it out. I usually adjust the acid up front a little bit because it's a little bit more acidic. My target end goal is that the wine would have a sweetness level of around 3%, which makes it soft in your mouth. And we call it Rosé Cuvée Tiffany. It's a top wine at Blue Ridge Winery. Every year we produce it.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. Talking about Blue Ridge Winery. So give me your origin story. How did you and Tiffany found this thing?
Oh gosh. So we live on the farm here. We've lived on the winery farm for probably 20 years. We live in the White House up above the vineyards here. And back when I built the house here, I used to have a horse farm and there were no vineyards. I never had any wine until I was 31 years old. And I mean, zero. I grew up ski racing. So all I do is race all my life. And my wife and I were in this little town called Itchen, Italy, right? And it was the last race of the season and we're driving through vineyards. And my wife turns to me and she goes, "Hey, I wonder if we can grow grapes at the farm." I'm like, "I don't know. I never had wine." So we come home, we start studying. Pretty soon we're planting rows of vines. And it's one of those stories where we got in so deep, we couldn't turn back. So here we are.
Oh,
and we used to have a medical business. It was called Star Medical Equipment. And it really reached a tipping point where one day we go, all right, are we going to sell everything and dive into the wine business? And we did. We literally sold it all. It was one of those things where if we didn't make it work, we would have been cooked because we completely spent all of our money. We were completely broke. We had to make it a go. This is why I always say my wife, I just grow grapes, my wife, oh my God, Tiff is the brain. She's the idea. She's the one that pushes it all. If it wasn't for Mama, I call her Mama. We had 3 babies. I'd still be in the vineyards, blubbering myself, just crying that we're not going to make it. We're not going to make it. When she has more faith than I do. It was some challenging times early on, but my God, today, Blue Ridge, it's ranked the 13th top winery in the nation by Travel and Leisure magazine.
Wow.
We have a wine here called The Godfather that's ranked the top 1% wines in the whole world. We teach some of the wine science classes at the local colleges. I have something called the Underground Experience here, which is a wine tasting that it's a sold out show whenever we list tickets. The mission of Blue Ridge.
I want to hear all about that, but before we get too long, did I hear that you didn't really drink wine before you started the winery?
Yeah, for real. So basically, Drew, growing up, I was a ski racer. Uh-huh. So all I did was I just trained my body to perform better in a course. I was never really around wine.
So alcohol, you weren't drinking, period, probably.
Zero. Yeah, first drink I ever had, I was 31 years old. Anything.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And literally, what happened was the first time I had wine, we were in Mount Hood, Oregon. So in Mount Hood, Pinot Noir world, right? Oregon. And I didn't know this back then. And it was the last ski race of the season. Because Mount Hood, you can go there in the summertime and they have summer skiing up in the glacier there. Mm-hmm. And we're at this little restaurant and a waiter walks up to us and goes, "Would you guys like to have some wine?" And I look at Tiff and I go, "Sure, why not? Never had that before." So he pours some wine. Then he starts describing it. I'm like, "Dude, just pour the wine." I have no idea what you're talking. Who knew though, 5 years later, I'd be producing it on thousands of gallons per scale. But
it's absolutely incredible. What was it about wine? And does Tiffany come from a background in wine or what?
No.
What was it that it's hard? It's very easy to get in over your head and then just not, but to succeed and to be continually motivated by it. Why wine?
And did Tiffany drink wine? Or was she?
Yeah, Mama liked wine. And Mama had Tiff had wine, when she was younger, not 31. But, the wine business, it's complicated, right? We all know that. It's a very complicated business. It's complicated on the biology side, the science of making wine. It's complicated on the business side. How do you make it all work? It's complicated on the retail side. And I love the complexion of it. And it's one of those things that the more you know you don't know.
Yeah.
So you can never stop getting better at, which I absolutely love that. It's something that is scalable to the moon.
Mhm.
And we're trying to reinvent the wine world at Blue Ridge. I mean, I have wine here, Drew, that like, if you study the history of wine, it started in the country of Georgia, right?
Mhm.
And they used to have these underground pots called every pots, right? And
Yeah.
they would bury these pots under the ground to protect the elements that hurt wine, because that's how they could preserve the wine, by putting it under the ground, because they didn't have refrigeration back then. So I thought, okay, why don't we take barrels and bury them out in the field?
Oh, yeah.
Return it right where it began, right? You put it back in the dirt. We bury barrels now on Halloween weekend. It's appropriate, right?
Uh-huh.
And then we dig it up on 4th of July, and we leave barrels buried in the dirt for 9 months.
Huh.
And when you bury wine, Lou, we call the wine underground, it's appropriate. Beneath the earth, all the elements that hurt wine, it goes away. Beneath the earth, think about it. There's no light, there's no sound, there's no oxygen, there's no movement, no change in temperatures. It is the most steady, level environment anywhere on the planet. But it is very challenging to bury wine and then dig it back out without destroying barrels, right? And we've been doing this for years. This past season, we kicked it to a whole new level, because I'm out on the patio here and a couple says to me, they go, Randy, I wonder what this would taste like if you didn't bury it. I'm like, duh, Randy, don't bury barrels and do a comparison side by side.
Yeah.
So now I think we're the only winery in the world that you can come to Blue Ridge and taste a wine that has been buried for a year, and the exact same wine from the same tank that has been aged in the exact same barrels, not buried, aged in the barrel barn, and you will not believe the difference of how wine ages. And you can
Wow.
understand it in one split taste.
Yeah.
Pretty neat
what's
stuff.
With the one, I'm just assuming the ones in the ground will be a little more softer, or would it be even more youthful? It's been in such a
No,
stable condition.
That's the word. That's the word. It's softer. It's more subtle. Everything about it, you'll go, wow, this is the smoothest dry red ever. What happens when you bury barrels, the angel share, the evaporation, that does not happen when you go under the ground at all. In fact, when I pull the bungs out, it explodes in it somewhat.
Wow.
It rounds off and softens the wine like you never could imagine. The underground wine is a wine that I wish we could produce more of it. I only produce around 400 gallons a year of it. And like this past season, it's already sold out right now. It goes pretty quick.
That's incredible. And which wine is it called? Your underground wine, or is it
It's called underground.
And
Yeah,
what
we have a
varietal's
wine
that?
called underground and one called above ground.
Okay.
They're from the same tank, but aged differently. One's aged above ground, one's below ground. And that's it. And people go, oh my gosh. I go, everybody thinks time passing ages wine. And I agree, time's important, but it's the most least important variable in the aging of wine. Because we all know this. If I take a bottle of wine and I open it up and dump it into a pitcher, within 2 days, the wine's going to smell bad. But if I left it in the bottle, all is well. So it's what's happening to the wine. And when you go beneath the earth, all the elements that hurt wine, they vanish.
Yeah.
And the wine can age perfectly.
No, that's incredible. I had a conversation. They weren't on my podcast, but a gentleman up in Santa Barbara is doing a ocean aging of bottles of wine. So he's got these big nets full of bottles that he submerges into the Channel Island area and ages the wine in the ocean.
We actually have a client that ages their wine below ground. One of their
Toucannon
CELLAR. Yeah.
Neat.
And that was the first time that was the first time I'd heard about that ever.
Right.
And I've worked in the wine industry my whole life, basically. And now you are doing it too. Fascinating.
Digging up treasure. So you've got, so you basically use the same kind of field location where your treasure's stored.
And how are you digging them out?
With the excavator. Oh yeah. I go out there with the backhoe. I pre-dig the hole when we bury it because it takes like the whole day to dig a hole. And it's big. It's about the size of a house, right? Our foundation. Yeah. And then I preset the barrels out there. And what we do is we do a barrel tasting of the barrels the day we bury them. So I have 3 or 4 barrels out on display and you can walk up, we do a turkey baster, pull it right from the barrel, right to the glass.
Oh yeah.
So you can taste Trinity, you taste it before we bury it. Then what we do is 9 months later, the day we dig it back out, I invite everybody back out again. We all go out in the field together and I dig the barrels out of the ground right in front of everybody. It is so cool to pull a barrel up out of the ground and drop it right in the field. And then I go over, we open it up right in the field, right in front of everybody. and we pull a sample and go right from the barrel to the glass with all the people in the field. And then this coming year, we're going to bottle it right in the field. I'm going to bring my bottling line out there. We have a semi-mobile bottling line, and I'm going to put it out there. We're going to siphon it from the barrel right to the bottle. It's going to come off the line and go right into the guest's hands.
That's
really
incredible.
Have
really
you
neat.
ever dropped a barrel while pulling it
Oh
off?
my gosh. Yes. I joke about that because that's a nightmare because every bottle is around $6,000 of wine.
Yes.
Expensive mistake. And I've broken 3 so far.
Oh,
It's percentage, but man, that hurts.
It does. The first time I did it, you're like, your blood drains out of your body. You're like, oh my God, all the work that went into that. But yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, I've broken 3. This past year didn't break any. So right for me, guys.
Yeah.
And how many do you usually bury?
So I bury 330 gallons worth each year, at least 330 gallons. Sometimes we do a little bit more, but right around there.
Using 50-gallon barrels?
No, 15-gallon barrels. I use the
15?
little bird. Yeah, the little bird.
Oh, so that's where you're going to get, that'll really accelerate the maturation too, having the smaller ones.
Yep, 15 gallons. And the barrels they came from Dad's Hat Distillery in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Okay. So when Herman dumps his bourbon out, he calls me up and he goes, Randy, I got 50 barrels, come get them. And we buy all of his barrels. And then I pump that wine into there. So it basically compounds where it picks up all those buttery bourbon compounds that age soaked into the wood. And we all know those barrels are charred, like charcoal in the inside.
So I got to ask, there's never like bugs or anything that somehow make their way inside of there?
No. The barrel, the wood on the barrel is about that thick. And then the bung's about that thick. So now it's as tight as can be. Yeah.
There's not enough time for any bugs to actually penetrate it in 9 months.
Yeah, no, they wouldn't. And I bury them like 10 feet down. There's nothing down there.
Oh, that's true.
There might be a nematode or so down there, but that's about it, right?
Now, is this experience available to all your wine club members, or is this something that you?
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah. The underground day, the day we bury, the day we dig it up. It's like a big festival day here at the winery.
Yeah.
Like we do a fireworks show that day. We light the vineyards up that night. If you're ever around the area, come to Blue Ridge right around dusk, because we have around 1.2 million lights strung throughout the vineyards. And it's a sight to be seen.
That's incredible.
It's fun stuff.
Your website shows great visuals, and this kind of is a good segue into your underground. That's not you have the underground barrels, but then you also have an experience in your winery, the underground experience.
Correct.
Talk to me about that. It looks fascinating. It comes with motivational talk.
Yep. Oh my gosh. So you know how every business has a mission statement, right? They all do. Blue Ridge's mission statement is to add value to people's lives. And, when you get studying what actually brings value to someone's life, it turns out it really doesn't have much to do with things. Everything we have to be thrown away at some point. And all value in our lives is derived through an experience with someone we love. So everything we do here is designed to bring people together to create a moment they never forget. Because your mind always acts like a Polaroid snapshot. It remembers the moment. So the underground experience was derived out of just a need to serve more. When we built the winery, we only built the original building. And then one afternoon, my wife looks at me and she goes, we should build on, we should do more. And we should build an underground room. And then she goes, if we do that, let's do a wine tasting. That's a very controlled, very high end, very elite wine tasting. And it's called the Underground Experience. And what it is I go into the room there, and it's a room that's truly underground. It's all painted black. It has gold trimming in it. I turned 3 trees into chandeliers, and they come out of the ceiling, and there's thousands of lights all over these trees. And what I do is we pair wine with the best things in life. You know how traditionally wine is paired with cheese and crackers and things like that. In that presentation, it's not paired with that stuff. It's paired with things like hope. We talk about trust. We talk about enthusiasm. We talk about preparing for success in our life rather than repairing the past. And by the end, I promise you, everyone in the room, they just float out of the room because they feel so good. Because it's, I always say when there's hope in the future, there's power in the present. And that whole presentation is about hope. It is such a feel-good presentation. And it's kind of spun off on its whole world of its own. Teresa is the manager of it. She manages the whole show. We book it through Eventbrite, the website Eventbrite. And it's something that's right now, it's booked out through April. We're about to release some more dates. There's another date that I thought I was going to be away, but I'm going to be here. So we're going to put that on there. It's $50 a ticket. A lot of times couples come to it. It lasts around an hour and a half. Wow. And, but at the time we'll go.
How many people in each one of these experiences?
Generally, we try to seat 42, but most of the time it ends up being around 45 to 47. Because sometimes like a family will book it and they'll go, oh my gosh, my mother's in town. Can we please get a ticket for my mom? Or like, we can do it. We'll make it happen. So like this weekend, there is 49 there's 2 shows on Saturday right now. There's one at 1:00 and then one at 3:30.
Yeah. You've been doing it for what, 5 years now or so?
Yep. About 5 years. Yep. And it's an evolving presentation. There is no script to it. We talk about, there's 5 general topics. We talk about time. Time's important. We talk about the word empathy. We talk about hope, trust, and preparing for success. And then there's a lot of other subtopics woven into it. And it's a story, and it's an emotional roller coaster ride. So at some point, the whole room is crying. The next point, they're all laughing. The next point, they're, giggling. It's an emotional roller coaster ride.
That's incredible. Do the wines sort of craft the talk, or the wines enhance it?
Oh, wow. I mean, the wines are all a part of it. We taste 5 wines and I talk about the history of the wines, of how that wine got created, why it has its name. We taste the underground wine in that room and the above ground wine. And I can show them the art of aging wine and how different it is above versus below. We taste a wine called Conscience in that room, which is actually named after a song that a musician that played here, that it was our effort to keep him in the music world. It's great stories that it connects people with their life.
Yeah. What you're doing is, so many wineries have tried to do something. Well, everybody's trying to convey their story, or they're trying to give the wines this like sense of purpose, sense of place. And too often the stories are just tied to physical, like very, very just general stories. To be able to tie it to emotions, to tie it into visions and futures, must be a real talent. It actually taps into the core of why a lot of people love wine.
Absolutely. Big time. Yeah. I tell everyone that when it comes to a winery's always got to remember that the word authenticity defines a winery. Because people really, when you think about it, people don't really come here just to drink wine. They're coming here for the experience of Blue Ridge Winery. Because if they want to drink wine, they can go to the state store, buy a bottle and go home and drink it. They want to feel the feel. And people come here because of the feeling. Blue Ridge is all about atmosphere. Every detail, every day, there's sound tiles on the ceiling of every single room in this building. We do that because it softens the feel of the room and makes it comfortable to be in the room. Our tables are very narrow tables because I realized one day I can get people closer to each other. And if I get narrow tables, and they'll begin holding hands. We change all the tables, and just like that, whole atmosphere changes. We invest huge in sound system here. I mean, I probably have $50,000 in music sound system stuff. We've had some world-class artists come out, to the winery here and play. Haley Reinhardt's been here. Collective Soul's been here. And the mission is to create a moment that no one forgets. But I really believe in today's world, if businesses take the money that they have, reinvest it back into the business to create the experience for the guests that they'll never forget, they will tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends. That's the best marketing you could ever do, because you will always trust your friend's opinion. So that's the goal.
Oh, for sure. And for you, you're also a highly sought after motivational speaker. And it says in your website, you've spoken individually over 15,000 times. That's incredible, because that's one a day for 41 years. I did the math. I had to ask you about that.
Yeah. So for the longest time, I was doing 3 and 4 and 5 a day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So then, and that actually predates the winery.
It does. Yeah, by a long shot.
By a long shot.
We're only 8 years old.
Yeah. So that you've really used the winery as like a perfect conduit for your message.
You went from being a skier to a motivational speaker to a winery owner / motivational speaker.
There you go. It's true. Yeah. Businesses have mission statements. People should have mission statements. And my mission statement is to add value to the people around me. And I've learned that the more value you add, the more value you receive. You can only give what you have, and the more you give, the more you receive. And life just spirals up. I think the biggest lesson that I put out to the world when it comes to motivational speaking is that most people make the fatal flaw in their life, and they get up in the morning, they think to themselves, how can I have more in this world? How can I get more? And the problem with that way of thinking is that no one chose to be alive. Life chose you to be here. And since life chose us, the question we should really ask is, what does life expect of me? And when we ask that question every single day, all of a sudden you have no more problems, because every problem is transformed into an opportunity that life has given you to turn you into a better person than who you were yesterday. And now all of a sudden life is limitless, and I can go anywhere because I have opportunities and I want to find more of them. I think that's the biggest message that comes out in most of my presentations. It's also a play on hope, because, God, what's missed in the world today is hope for the future. And when there is no hope for the future, the present is dead, and that's what people feel when they come to Blue Ridge. I have quotes of my family all over the place, my little babies, I hang them on the wall, and I see people taking pictures with them, and they leave and they go, I have a newfound faith and excitement for humanity after being at Blue Ridge. Because when it comes to like the winery, I'm pretty vulnerable here. I have a book of my family and I put out a lot of podcasts, and I'm very transparent. But vulnerability, I see it as vulnerable. The world sees it as courageous. And I want to tell people it's one and the same. Put yourself out there. You'll think you're being vulnerable. They'll see you as courageous. And no one has ever accomplished anything playing it safe. So the winery, it was a big jump, but we had to make it.
Oh, for sure. And what a great platform for your message.
It's been fun.
God, I want to circle back on this Godfather. Top 3% of wines in the world.
Top 1%.
Top 1%.
Yeah, top 1%. Yeah. So what happened, Vivino, the app Vivino, right? So Vivino, what happened was, I didn't know it until a guest walks up to me, and he had a very strong accent. I could barely understand him. And he goes, you realize that this wine is top 1% in the world. I'm like, say it again. And he goes, top 1%. And I go, what do you mean? Where do you see that? And he pulls out this app called Vivino. He scans it. I'm like, look at that. I'll be. And it's been there ever since. Godfather is a wine that it's a dry red. It's pretty old. It's around 5 years old by the time we sell it. It gets aged in American oak barrels for a while. Then it comes out of there and it goes into those 15-gallon bourbon barrels I talked about from Dad's Head Distillery. And then it sits like that for 6 months to maybe 2 years, depending on the barrel state and the wine state and so on. And then we're very careful when we blend it. We're blending it. We're making sure that we're blending the right barrels into the right barrels. There's a whole art to barrel blending. And the wine is probably the most buttery, smooth, maple feel type wine, if that makes sense. The people always say to me, they go, the Godfather never disappoints. That's the common.
What varietal is it?
It's mainly Petit Syrah.
Mainly? Wow.
We blend other stuff into it, but it is the most big, bold, dry red out there. I mean,
kind of imagine the way you describe it and the way it's aged. It kind of reminds me of maybe a Rioja Reserva or something from Spain, where they only release them when they're aged and ready to go.
Yep.
Tell me, where did the name come from?
The people ask me though, did it come from the movie? I'm like, I've never seen the movie. And when we named it, it wasn't even close in my mind. It was literally that the name came from Tiff and I up there in the house at the sunroom early on with the winery, just coming up with names. I mean, it's really, I wish I had a dramatic story for it, but there isn't. It's just us sitting there and going, wow, it's, when you develop a name for a wine, what we would do is we'd write out keywords that describes the wine. Big, bold, strong, powerful. Go, okay, so what describes big, bold, strong, powerful? She goes, I don't know, maybe like the Godfather. I'm like, there it is. And that's truly what happened. I wish there's a better story.
No. I mean, the name makes sense, especially for something of that stature, for sure.
Right. Yeah. We have a wine called Inspiration, and that's another,
So that's what I was going to ask you about, because you've got these glitter wine.
Yeah.
Glitter Inspiration.
So glitter. Okay. So if Blue Ridge Winery was in Napa Valley, I probably wouldn't be able to pull off a glitter wine, but we're not in Napa Valley. Okay. We're
talking about a glitter wine.
Yeah. So here's what happens. Oh my God, Drew. So I'm always trying to, how can we reinvent the wine world? If anything was possible, what would you do? I always say anything is possible. Let's always use it to our advantage. So one night I'm laying in bed up at the house and I'm on Facebook and I saw this baker. All of a sudden it's a dramatic commercial trying to sell a cake or a topping or something like that. And he's throwing glitter across the cake. And then it was all in slow motion. The glitter's all sparkly and shiny. And I thought, I wonder if you could put glitter in wine, because if you can put it on cake and eat it, it must be edible. So then I started researching it, and I found this company called Bagel. Bagel is the company that sells that same glitter that goes on cake. The base is called mica. It's an edible glitter. It's so fine, it just goes right through you. And I call them up. I go, has anyone ever put it in wine? They go, well, we've seen people put it in beer, but not so much wine. I go, let's try it. So I order some in, and I develop a label. To get a label like that through the Tobacco Trade Bureau, it's called artificial coloring, and it works fine. And so I get my labels approved, and then you should have seen it. When we make that wine, we have to hand dose every single bottle. There is no automatic doser. And we make thousands of them every month.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
And literally it's a wine that it has edible glitter in it. You take the bottle, if you take that bottle and you stir it and shake it, it is just the most sparkly, glittery thing in the world. It's amazing. You pour into a glass, it shimmers, it sparkles. If I walk through the winery with a glass of it, everyone will go, what is that? What is that? It really is cool. And now, early on, we only did it in like gold and a bronze, but now we do it in green, purple, pink, yellow, orange, for every color you can imagine.
And what kind of wine is it?
Oh, so Inspiration, it's a semi-sweet wine. The base is mainly Niagara, and then there's a couple other things blended into it to make it a unique brand. So like,
it's the same wine for all of them, but different glitter.
Yep, exactly. Just different colors. Yeah, if I blindfolded you, you wouldn't be able to tell what color is what. They all taste the same.
Okay.
Even the one without glitter.
I got my daughter I ordered her a maple syrup from Vermont that is glitter.
Has glitter in it?
Sure. From last year I got it, and it's this delicious, all natural, real maple syrup. And then you pour it and it's got the glitter in it. And like the bottle itself is beautiful too. It's all caked on the sides, but then you kind of pour it on the pancakes or waffles or whatever. And
it's probably the same
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, do you want to see it? Should I grab a bottle? Should I grab the can?
Yeah, grab the camera.
Here. Let me go. Run you over here real quick.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture on the website. It seems like what a great way to just make wine fun.
Exactly. Yeah, it really does. It makes wine fun. That's for sure.
I bet it's a hit. God, you got to have some like glitter parties. Do you ever do glitter parties?
Yeah. So you
glitter's
can see.
A pain in the ass though. If you actually have it at your property, you'll have glitter there forever.
You can see this one here. You see it? See that one still? Okay. There's one, and then here's another. Trying to find one that's bronze.
Super interesting.
Oh, here's a bronze one. The bronze one's very dramatic. Get it going here, and you'll see. See what I mean?
Oh wow,
pretty neat, right?
I could think of so many people. Oh my gosh, what an interesting thing. What's the most popular color?
Oh, I like the blue.
Yeah, there's the blue. So the most popular color probably is this bronze one you see here, just because it's so dramatic. But during Valentine's, they come in pink. There's pretty much for every holiday there's a different color. And I'm wondering if there is an underground bottle up here somewhere. I'm over in the Vineyard room here. So this is the label for the above ground. It's kind of it's in our art series. It's a cool looking label.
Yeah, that one's neat.
Really, really neat. Yeah, the underground. We only have the underground wine downstairs now because it's all sold out up here. But do you want to see the underground room? Should I run down there real quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take a look. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I cut across here, and here I'll pan around. So this is the I'm out on the deck right now.
And you did get some snow.
Oh yeah, it's snowing like crazy. This is called the lower patio. You see a set of steps going down over there. There's pergolas over here. We have an outdoor tiki bar right here. This is a stage where we do live music. This is the lower vineyard. Off in the distance is the Christmas tree farm out there, and a couple fire pits out here. And this is the vineyard room we just came at. We have all the decks wrapped at the winery, so we actually blow heat in there. So this weekend, even though it's going to be 30 degrees out here, in there it's like 70, but yet you're outside. It's kind of neat. Yeah, and then this is just a set of steps that leads down to the underground room. And beneath me is that underground room that we're going to be heading to. But I'm going to cut you across here. Then now I'm in the covered deck on the main building here. And remember I told you about the quotes of my kids? Here's one of Maggie. Here's a kiss later to Dad. Here's a quote of my mom. Pursue all your dreams with all your imagination and ignore the false sense of fear. And now I'm in the main building here. And you can see there's the main building. This is the original bar that we built back when we first started. We have a line of wines here called the Strength and Honor labels. It's great stuff. We do a barrel festival here every Labor Day weekend. And we release the wine called Strength and Honor. And I buy weird barrels, like tequila barrels, scotch barrels, rum barrels, and I age wine in them. And then we taste it right from the barrel and we pre-bottle it up so people can buy it right on the spot. Neat
That's
stuff.
Pretty incredible. What would a tequila age? I don't think I've ever heard of a tequila aged wine.
Yeah. We do a Chardonnay, tequila aged Chardonnay. You would not believe how good that is.
Huh.
So here's a peach brandy symphony. The grape symphony. It's like kind of a delicate white grape cross between symphony. Yeah. Here's a vanilla barrel aged Merlot. That's a neat one. Down here is a strawberry brandy symphony. Here's some of the glitter.
You are pushing the envelope of what's. I mean, this is
Yeah, right.
one of the most
Absolutely
incredible experiments I've seen.
Really, really, really neat stuff. This is a wine. We have a wine here called the Estate, and the Estate wine is grown in the Upper Vineyard. And what we did was we called it the Estate, but then inside the bottle we put a picture of the winery inside the bottle. See it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So there's the Estate, right? So here, we'll keep going. I can get hung up. I know. Here we go.
How much of your land is under vine, or what are you?
It's all around 10 acres here. Yeah, there's 10 acres of vineyards, and I'm not going to plant more here.
And you guys had this whole property before you planted grapes?
Yeah. We've owned the farm for a long time, and back when I bought it,
prior to a winery.
Originally it was soybeans and corn, and then when I bought it, I turned it into a horse farm, and then we got rid of the horses and took down the fence and planted vineyards.
Nice.
Yep, fun stuff. And so here we'll head down this way. So we're going into the wine cellar now. And this is where we produced everything. And you'll see now, so here's the wine cellar. Here's our cross flow filtration system, right? A couple wine pumps. There's some tanks behind me here. And then here's our bottling line. This is where, where everything gets bottled up. And then around me, this is all bottled wine, all these stacks everywhere. And this is the original building. So this building is around 8 years old. And then what happened was about 2 years into it, we decided, why don't we do the expansion? And then we cut a hole in the wall. See the doors behind me.
Yeah.
So we cut a hole in the wall, removed it. And then we're entering the underground room here.
Holy moly.
Right? It's kind of neat, right? So now we're completely underground, and we're cut across here. And this,
and you made that?
Yeah, neat, right? It's a weeping cherry tree. Yeah. And so the first one I built was this guy right here. Built this one first. And then this one used to be over here. And then when I built the bigger one, I took that one down, moved it over, and put this one here. And then literally today, just now, I've been working on one for the past 3 months. And just now we hung it up in the ceiling here. This is the third one. Notice how there's no crystals on it. It's not even tied up. It's all dangling down here. But now there'll be 3 in the room. And believe it or not, this is like today. It's only been up here for like 20 minutes.
Oh,
like it's first time we're showing it. Yeah, premiere, really cool. And the way it's designed is I put it all in fiber optics. So let me see if I can I'll turn the light on for you. I'll show you what it looks like.
That's unbelievable.
1 second here. Fun stuff, right?
I mean, you're the whole winery is your playground for creativity.
Yeah, right.
The outlet of your expression. I love it.
Fun stuff. Let me turn the lights out here real quick. I just want to show you what it looks like.
How do you put the crystals on it once you've already hung it?
Okay, so
Wow.
okay, so yeah, so what I did was this little crystal right here. They're right, the real deal. It's all Strabotsky crystals. Whoa. And we build them out in the room. So you connect it with a little eyelet here, and then you connect this one here. And I drilled a hole through the branch every 2 inches everywhere. And then the fiber optic light is pushed through that hole. And then there's a little eyelet right there. And the crystal hangs from that eyelet. So on this tree, there's around like 1,000 eyelets, 1,000 holes that after I get it all up, we already have our crystals. I saw them in a box over here. We will they're right here. So these are the crystals. They come like this in packages. So here, you'll get a kick out of this. So right here. So right here is right there's where there's a crystal. This will end up being on that tree. And we'll build it out on the table here. But there's a whole lighting system, built throughout this thing. So let me show you. Let me turn the lights out and I'll light it up for you. Let's see if it. Okay, 1 second here.
Podcast and a show.
This is unbelievable. Very labor
My
intensive.
mind is blown right now.
Neat stuff, huh? 1 second here. Okay. So watch this. It's going to get real dark here.
You're going to want to watch this one on YouTube. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely. Yeah, this is one he's got to see.
It should come alive here.
Whoa.
Oh. It's neat, right?
That is really cool. I can see how it could just really captivate and just really be an immersive experience.
Yeah, fun stuff. Boy, that some uplighting. But yeah, and in the room here, I mean, the room is basically there's two big tables in the room, and we built the tables in the room. It's one piece of wood, and people generally come down through. Remember that I told you that the other set of step
Uh-huh.
right there. With that
Oh,
big
I
purple
see.
tree. Yeah, you walk in here, and then boom, away we go. Great stuff, though. But yeah, if you're ever out in this area, guys, and you're able to jump in on the underground experience, I will get you in. Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Seems like something to be seen.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So then for those people that weren't lucky enough to get the underground experience tickets, you've got a full tasting. I mean, you've got the fire pits outside, the tiki bar
Oh yeah.
as well.
Yeah, I've designed the winery where I have more parking than I do tables. That way, if you pull into the winery and you get a parking spot, I will definitely have a table for you. Because
Mhm.
sometimes on a Saturday in the summertime, there could be 1,500, 2,000 people on the property, and they pull in, they think, oh my gosh, it's gonna be packed, and then they walk in, they go, oh, there's lots of space, and we purposely designed.
So you said you had a tiki bar too. So are you serving cocktails?
No, we call it D bar. We only do wine. We do slushies out there in the summertime, like wine made slushies, but we don't do cocktail type stuff here.
Yeah,
All wine.
we spent a lot of time talking about COVID and we've moved on, but in your case, I got to talk about this because your winery is so experiential and everything's just so hands-on. During the pandemic, how did you adapt?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Also, in a sense, that was a big problem, and I would say the bigger the
Mhm.
problem, the bigger the opportunity, and that was a big one. What we did during COVID is I bought here. I'll show you. I'll walk over to it. There were all kinds of space restriction rules, right?
Mhm.
And basically what I did was we went to the vineyards. We had seating all throughout the vines
Okay.
because there's 10 acres of vines out there, and it was the biggest job in the world bussing it at the end of the day. It's like you're literally bussing 10 acres of a restaurant in a sense. We went to the vines. I also bought, you see this giant tent out there?
Mm-hmm.
The tent. So I bought a tent that's 120 feet by 40 feet. And then we put it right in the parking lot. And that created tremendous amount of seating.
Mm.
And by doing all this, it's transformed Blue Ridge into something that we can never go back to what we were. Because, as everyone else was contracting and withdrawing and kind of I don't want to say playing it safe, but, making sure that it didn't get in too deep, we were diving in huge.
A lot of people went small, but you went the opposite way and went huge.
We did. Yeah. We just kept diving in more and more. And we bought the tent. We went to the vineyards and we hired more people, and we basically designed something that we could follow the rules, and we morphed into whatever we needed to every week as the rules were changing, and we kept up with it. And now, we can never go back. Blue Ridge, it's turned us into something that is just, my gosh, we couldn't go back to what we were. We used to do tastings where people would stand at the bar and they would taste the wines as they're standing there. Now we do it with a little flight carrier where they get it, they go sit at their table and do it. And in the past, we would do maybe 200 to 300 tastings a day. During COVID, we were doing like 700.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
People were looking for some place to go because so many other wineries contracted and just said, "See ya when it's over," which I think was a mistake for sure.
Yeah, but it was a great transformation. We came out with all kinds of new wines. There's so many ideas that came out of that. We did close down the underground experience, like that stopped just because it was everyone's in one room. You can't do that, we stopped it. But all the outside stuff, my gosh, we now have sun sails in the summertime, which is beautiful.
Huh.
It's just, it's turned into mainly an outdoor resort type place.
That's incredible. I gotta, so much creativity. You've done so much. I even hesitate to ask this. What's the next project?
Yeah. So there's always big things.
Uh-huh.
So one day, my ultimate goal here is that I would love it if one day I could do another project over on the Christmas Tree Farm side. I don't own the Christmas Tree Farm, and they have no plans to sell it today. But one day, I tell them, if you're ever going to do it, guys, I'm your guy. Right? And I would love to build a winery over there, and it would be completely underground. So you look across there, and all you would see is a glass door, but there'd be about 5,000 square feet all underground. And then what I would do is I would connect this deck with over there with a gondola.
Oh,
And I would build no roads to get to that winery. So in order to get there, you come here, and it's a true destination. You got to get on a gondola, you ride over. It would all be reservation based over there. Very just great experience. But that's, one day, that's the plan. We'd have a gondola ride. This summer, we're doing hot air balloon rides here. We've done helicopter rides.
Oh, wow.
We've, if you could think it, it's possible. So let's think it.
Unbelievable. You could even keep the Christmas tree farm on the top if you go down far enough.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, no, we would, I would plant vines or trees right up over top of it. Yeah.
Rent the land underneath the Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's the landscape like for us around the country, people that maybe aren't having the opportunity to visit you? And are there other wineries in the location? Is it a wine destination, or are you standing alone there?
When Tiff and I started Blue Ridge Winery, we started the Pocono Wine Trail, pulled everyone together, because it was somewhat fragmented. And there's probably 7 to 9 wineries, within a 15-minute drive of Blue Ridge. And I would say, if our mission is to add value to someone's life, they can come here and enjoy Blue Ridge and then drive up the road and go to Sorrenti's winery. It's not like buying a refrigerator. You just buy this wine. You can buy wines from anywhere, right?
Uh-huh.
So, and we operated the wine trail for a couple of years, and then there was friction, just from the different personalities of the wineries. And we kind of, that happens in the wine trail, I guess. And it's kind of dwindled since then. But my brother owns a winery. It's called Renegade Winery in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, how far away is that?
Like 20 minutes. In that
your
range.
brother owns one too. Did he grow up drinking wine, or did he just?
No, I gotta admit, no.
I love
No.
it. That's incredible.
Yeah, my brother and I were raised by a single mom, and I don't think she would have had money for wine.
Yeah.
Did he start his winery after you? Did he get inspiration from you?
Yep. Yeah. So what happened was it kind of goes both ways. He was talking to me about a beer business, and I started researching it, and I'm thinking, I already own the land. It'd be easy to do a wine business. And then he was encouraging me, and then I took the plunge and jumped. And then what happened was that maybe 2 years after we were open, he came to me and he goes, "Hey, do you mind if I open a winery and I name it after your bottle of wine called Renegade? We have a wine called Renegade here." And I'm like, "Go for it." So his winery is called Renegade.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
But
it's fun.
you've given him so much advice, but what advice would you give someone that wants to start a winery?
Yeah. Wow. So if you want to start a winery, I would tell you right now, go on your phone and download every single book that you can find to listen to the book audible on your phone. You need to just drown your mind in every book that exists on winemaking, because in the wine business, what you don't know will hurt you. And a lot of winemakers and wine owners, they make the mistake where they overextend things. Do what you can with what you have right where you are, and you'll always have peace of mind. And in the wine business, if the feel of the winery matters more than anything, and if the wine owner and winemaker, if there's friction there and there's tension and there's bills to be paid and you don't have the money to pay it and there's anger and frustration going on, everyone in the room's going to feel it. The reason Blue Ridge is what it is because my wife and I were the only owners of the business. We run the business based upon our peace of mind, and there's no stress. There's no pressure. If we don't sell wine today, that's okay. We'll enjoy today. We'll enjoy tomorrow. And that is the way to live, and I tell people, don't make wine that you like to drink. Make wine that your guests want to drink.
Yeah.
A lot of wineries go wrong with that, where I like a good Cabernet. That's what I'm going to make. It's like, well, do your guests like that? Make what they want, not what you want. And, but really a lot of the success in the wine business has to do with to never, ever, ever think that you're going to arrive. You will always get better. You're always going to learn. And the day you think you've arrived is actually the first day of the last day for you. Because once you've arrived, there's nowhere to go.
Sure.
And so Blue Ridge will never stop getting better. Kind of like Disney World. Disney World will never end. It'll always expand. Just like Blue Ridge. It'll always get better. And the key to the success of wine business is to know the history of the wine world and to know the big guys, the Mondavis, the Rothschilds, and understand what made them great. And then don't try to copy anybody. You do you. Be the best version that you can be, and you watch. The world will come and see.
Yeah. Such good words of wisdom there. In hindsight, I hate looking at hindsight, but is there anything you would have done differently? Starting the winery?
Yeah, always. There's always stuff that I go, wow, there's been times where I've built things just to tear it down. Yeah. When it comes to the wine, I don't think there's anything I'd be doing different with wine. Because, wine, we think that stuff out. Because once it goes in the bottle, that's it,
Yeah.
But when it comes to the structure of the winery, the design of it, I could have saved a lot of steps. I could have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by not doing something just to redo it. I am guilty of doing things pretty fast. I move quick. And when you move quick, sometimes you make mistakes by going too fast. I bought a bunch of tents that we never use. I spent a lot of money there and they still sit up in the barn. So things like that. But all in all,
but if you weren't so quick to move, you wouldn't be where you are today. So it's kind of
exactly.
And your ability to like rearrange and just redo it. I mean, a lot of people, they build it. I think one of the biggest mistakes people do is they live with it because they spend so much time creating it that they're too afraid to start over again. Doesn't sound like that's the case. And maybe very much the reason you're so successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you think about the word, we're talking about the word maintaining here, right? Like people, when they build a winery and they maintain it. And if you think about that word maintaining, that is the most dangerous thing that people could ever try to do in their life, because nothing that's alive is ever maintaining. The grass is growing or it's dying. The tree is growing or it's dying. A marriage is growing or it's dying. A person is growing or it's dying. A business is growing or it's dying. No one's maintaining anything. You're either, I tell everyone, don't coast, because you're coasting, you're going downhill, right?
Yeah.
So, and that is it. Like, it's Blue Ridge. We improve one thing every single day, even if it's the slightest little thing. And it's that classic saying, you can eat a whole elephant one bite at a time. And but yeah, I mean, it'll every time. It's funny. Even the people that work here in the summertime, there's about 120 people that work at Blue Ridge. Right now, there's closer to maybe 60 in that range. And if they're not here for like a week or two, when they come back, they're like, "Oh my God, everything's different." Changes fast.
That's the mark of a vibrant company. What about, so you have 3 children?
I do. 3 babies. Yep.
Are you positioning this for multi-generational winery?
Probably. Yeah. Maggie's 8, Joseph Boy's 5, and Natalie is 3. And if they want to do it, I tell them, I want them to pursue their dreams, not my dream. And if it's something that they would enjoy doing, absolutely. And if not, that's okay too. But I wouldn't want to push them into it. And right now they're really enjoying skiing and they're going to have their first race this weekend. And,
they inherited your competitive skiing skills.
I do. They're excited for it. Really excited. But yeah, I mean, if they, Maggie already, she makes these scarves out of yarn she buys from Hobby Lobby. And then she'll weave them into scarves. And then sure enough, she comes down to the winery on a Saturday and she sets up a little booth and she sells out of her scarves.
Oh, entrepreneur. I love it.
Yep. She really is. Yep. Great stuff.
Fantastic. Well, Randy, as we're kind of coming to the end of this thing, where can people learn more about you and Blue Ridge Winery and your motivational podcasts?
So you can find me, if you just Google my name, a lot of stuff pop up, Randy Detrick. Or if you want to listen to the podcast, I would go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's right there. We're about to break 100 episodes. There's a new one that comes out every Sunday, and it's a message that can add value to someone's life, no matter where they're at in life. For the winery, I'd probably go to the website, the Blue Ridge. If you just Google Blue Ridge Winery, Pennsylvania, or Blue Ridge Winery, Saylorsburg, it'll pop up. And, the winery, we're open every single day of the year except Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are the only 2 days we're not open. And on a day like today, it's snowing, but generally we're open. We were open this morning. We just decided let's not do it. No one's coming out today. It's cold and windy. I tell everyone, if you're in the area and you can treat yourself to a wonderful afternoon at Blue Ridge, you will be glad you did, because you're going to walk away going, God, I feel good leaving that place. It just feels so good there. And I want to go back to soak up more of it. It's a feel good. It's every worker that worked here has the power to do anything they want to serve the person in front of them. It is a true place where we wake up in the morning and we want to serve the people that we, not just serve them wine, but we want to serve them so they experience a better moment in their life. And the mission is to add value.
That's incredible. Randy, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm grateful, guys. Thanks for having me.
Everybody's got to go to his website. And I just am in awe of what you and Tiffany have done. It's
thanks, Drew.
Incredible facility.
The best is yet to come. You watch. I'm excited.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time. See you soon. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Legends Behind the Craft podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.